There's no doubt.
Brave men and women serving our country and protecting you.
The people at Camp Lejeune were poisoned.
But who's protecting them?
Bladder cancer, stage 4.
Why did I have 2 cancers back to back like this?
Evidence of contamination at home and overseas.
She said, I want you to go get a mammogram based on where you've been stationed. The radiologist said it looked like I'd been dipped in something.
I kept saying, my husband is going to die before you even give him a yes or no.
Today, there's help, a new law, a first step towards righting a devastating wrong. Let's dig into it. Today, President Joe Biden signed that new law to protect and serve veterans. It is called the Honoring Our PACT Act here. The law expands health care benefits for millions of veterans who become sick after serving their country. It officially links toxic exposures to different cancer illnesses, making it easier for veterans to receive care and benefits. And it gives funding to the VA to help provide that necessary care. It is named after the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, who deployed to Kosovo in Iraq. He died in 2020 from toxic exposure.
As a military spouse, when your loved one returns home safely from a deployment, you count your blessings. You're filled with gratitude, fear turns to relief as you begin living as a family again. But 10 years post-deployment from Iraq, my husband Heath began the biggest battle of his life, a terminal stage 4 lung cancer diagnosis due to toxic exposure from a burn pit in Baghdad.
Burn pits in the military are like what folks do out in the country, burning their trash, but on a much larger scale. The Department of Veterans Affairs says the military actually makes these big giant trenches to get rid of waste during combat. The VA says just about everything is set on fire in burn pits. The PACT Act doesn't stop at burn pits either. It also includes help for veterans exposed to Agent Orange in the Vietnam War, radiation at a base in Spain, and even toxic water that service members were exposed to right here in North Carolina. The government admits that between 1953 and 1987, nearly 1 million veterans and civilians were potentially exposed to contaminated drinking water. This is at Camp Lejeune, right down the road from us. In some areas, the government says tainted water had about 400 times the amount of legally allowed toxins.
We've seen a lot of Marine men who have breast cancer, and they never understood why they could have it. We've seen people with Parkinson's disease, and Parkinson's disease is generally caused by an environmental factor. There are one of the saddest things is the babies that died. One of the saddest places in America is Baby Heaven, which is a place in Camp Lejeune where all of the stillborn babies were buried because when they were in utero, their mother was drinking contaminated water or their infant formula was mixed with poison. And so these babies have died because of that.
Those tombstones will get you. Attorney Julia Merritt represents some of the victims of toxic water contamination at Camp Lejeune. The PACT Act, which includes the Camp Lejeune Justice Act inside it, allows claims to be filed on behalf of the contaminated water victims.
It has affected entire families, 5 and 6 people, siblings, children, spouses. Anyone who drank or was exposed to the water while they lived there and were serving their country. I guess I just feel really thankful that President Biden signed this. I think it's the right move and the way to start making it right for our country and for our veterans.
The contaminated water at Camp Lejeune and other toxic substances that service members were exposed to are things we've been talking about for years now. Catherine Hebridge, Sarah Robinson, and Natalie Brand all share the stories of veterans who've experienced some of these effects firsthand.
I was a very healthy man till 67 years old.
A lifelong aviator, Marine Corps veteran Mark Cotnower thought he'd be working on his plane and taking to the skies during retirement. But in 2017, Cotnower was diagnosed with prostate and then pancreatic cancer.
Why did I have 2 cancers back to back like this?
As a young Marine, Cotnower spent the summer of 1977 at Camp Lejeune.
How many doctors have blamed your cancer on the contaminated water at Camp Lejeune?
7.
With letters from the country's leading cancer specialists, Kottenauer filed a VA claim connecting his cancers to his time at Camp Lejeune.
And instantly it just got denied. They don't want to step up and do the right thing.
Typical Vietnamese village.
Nestled between the pages of an old binder, memories of a nearly 20-year-long war.
This is me and Mike, so I presume that unknowingly I was exposed to the drift, the fallout.
Alan Shotwell is from Orange County. He fought in the Vietnam War in 1967.
Here's some of the people from the Department of Defense.
Now, Shotwell strives to keep memories of sacrifices alive.
Right here.
Even decades after the war, the veteran is fighting another enemy, brain cancer.
Everybody that's been exposed to Agent Orange is assumed to be carrying multiple medical issues due to that exposure.
Morning! Marine veteran Kate Hendricks Thomas never imagined a battle with stage 4 breast cancer, a reality she's had to share with her 7-year-old son.
I'm proud of you. We've started to tell him the truth that, Mommy has a terminal condition and it is going to kill her, but that she'll always be with you.
The 41-year-old learned of her diagnosis 4 years ago, more than a decade after returning from Iraq.
I was seeing my nurse practitioner for an annual exam, and she said, I want you to go get a mammogram based on where you've been stationed. The radiologist said it looked like I'd been dipped in something.
Hendricks Thomas didn't realize danger had been lurking on base in the form of burn pits, commonly used on overseas bases to get rid of waste.
I was 25 years old and I felt like I was invincible. You know that feeling when you're that age? I wasn't concerned at the time about any exposure risk.
You were concerned about surviving.
Exactly.
Those last two veterans you just heard from are both no longer with us. Alan Shotwell died in May. He was 78 years old. Kate Hendricks Thomas died in April. She was 42 years old. The PACT Act was signed into law today with bipartisan support, but not all of your lawmakers voted for it. Senator Tom Tillis voted no. Here's why he says he voted against the bill.
What I'm concerned with is not what we're doing, but how we're doing it. I'm concerned that the VA is simply not prepared to absorb the number of claims and to provide timely care.
President Biden says the VA will get new facilities, improved care, more research, and increased health care workers under the PACT Act. Our veterans deserve our respect and gratitude.